Find the average value of the function, the integral from 1 to 5 of x squared minus x dx. And then what we want to do is we want to find the value, right? So there must be some number within that interval 1 through 5 such that f of c equals the average value, right? This is called the mean value theorem. All right, so let's just draw a quick sketch, right? This is not exactly drawn to scale, okay? But we have x squared minus x, which looks a little something like this, I guess, right? Okay. Here's 1. Here's 1. 5 is, let's just draw 5 here, I guess, right? So basically what we're doing, okay, we're finding the area in between, okay, underneath the curve here, right? So we're going to find this whole area, whatever this is. And then we're going to divide it by 4, right? And then that average value, right? The average value should be one of these guys, right? Somewhere in between here, okay? And then we're going to find the value of x in between 1 and 5 such that f of c is equal to that value, okay? So let's take a look, right? The average value, I don't know. I don't know what it is or not, right? But here's the average value, right? It's going to be in here, okay? So there must be some number here where it equals that average value. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Okay, so let's go ahead and find that average value, right? We should know what this is. Okay, we're just finding the integral and then dividing it, right? So remember the average value of a function, okay, is going to be 1 over b minus a times whatever that integral is, right? F of x dx. And we have everything we need in place, right? The only thing we need to do is, well, not only thing, but we need to calculate the integral and then divide it, in this case, by 4, right? 1 over 5 minus 1. So we get 1/4 times the integral. Now in this case, we know what the integral is for x squared, right? It's x cubed over 3. Same thing with x. We know that antiderivative is x squared over 2. So we're going to evaluate this from 1 to 5, okay? And once again, don't forget about that 1/4, right? We need to multiply by 1/4 at the very end. So in this case, let's go ahead and evaluate, right? We'll take that 1/4, still there, right? So what do we got? We got, plugging the 5 in here, 125 over 3 minus 25 over 2, right? And then minus, so minus, and then plugging the 1 in here, right? 1/3 minus 1/2, okay? And of course, still doing this. Okay? Of course, using the order of operations, we still want to do the inside first. Right, so 125 over 3 minus 1 over 3, right? That gives me 124 over 3. And the negative 25 over 2, notice that this becomes a plus, right? That becomes 24 over 2. Right? And once again, we still have that 1/4 out here. And now in this case, we can actually, we don't need the LCD because actually 124... well, actually, in this case, 124 divided by 3, we need to figure out what that is, right? So, and then same thing with 24 over 2. All right, so we got to, in this case, I'm sorry, we do need the LCD here, right? So in this case, the LCD looks like it's going to be 6. So I need to multiply this by 2 and multiply that by 2, right? Multiply this by 3 and multiply that by 3. So I get 1/4. Okay? And then 248 over 6 minus, in this case, that becomes 72, right? 72 over 6. All right, so from here, we can just go ahead and subtract these guys, right? So we get 1/4. Now, in this case, 248 minus 72 gives us 176. So we get 176 over 6. Now, in this here, actually, 4 does go into 176 evenly. Okay, that's going to be 49 times. Okay, so we get, no, I'm sorry, it's 44, right? So 44 over 6, which we can reduce, right? We'll divide everything by 2, so we get 22 over 3, right? So here we go. This is the average value, right? What's about 7 1/3 about, right? So that's over here, right? Okay, so this point here, right, is 22 over 3, about 7 1/3, okay? So now we want to find, okay, there must be some value here that equals this guy. Okay, I don't know, I'm just eyeballing the point here, right? But there should be a point that equals that value. Okay, so that's exactly what we're doing, right? We are finding where does x squared minus x, where does that equal 22 over 3, right? Okay. And in this case, x squared minus x minus 22 over 3, right? In this case, we do end up with a quadratic type equation. How do we solve quadratic equations? Well, we can factor, well, in this case we can't, right? Because that term is a fraction. So the only other option is to use a quadratic formula, right? So we know, let's see, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we'll go ahead and plug these guys in, right? So we get negative of negative 1, which is positive 1, right? Plus or minus the square root of negative 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 22 over 3, right? And then all of that divided by 2. Okay, now, you notice in this case, this becomes a plus, right? Plus 88 over 3, and then all of that over 2. Now, I'm going to get two answers here, right? The 1 plus whatever this is, divided by 2, and then 1 minus this, okay, whatever this guy is, divided by 2. Okay, so I already went ahead and got the answer, right? It's going to be 3, I'm going to round this, right? It's about 3.2537, so I'll just round that to 2 decimal places, right? In this case, this value is 3.25. This is going to be this guy, right? Remember, this is the 0.22 over 3, the y value, okay? And so the corresponding x value where it equals that is, in this case, 3.25. Okay? So the average value is 22 over 3. And the value of c in this interval 1 through 5 that equals that value is 3.25.